Mics are unmuted. Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's 4:30. Call the meeting to order. Acknowledge that the District of Tofino operates within the territory of the Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation. Tla-o-qui-aht. Notice to attendees that the meeting is being video recorded and will be published on the District of Tofino's channel. Notice to virtual attendees to sign up for public comment. Question period using the Q&A function. Registered participants are required to enter their full name, residential address, and the agenda item they wish to speak to. Through unanimous consent, if there are no objections, I'll move that pursuant to section 15 of the District of Tofino meeting procedure file number 1229/2016 amended, the July 22, 2025 regular meeting be held electronically via Zoom and live broadcasted on the District of Tofino's YouTube channel, and that the facility provided for the public to watch and hear the meeting be located at Tla-o-qui-aht Sound Theatre, 380 Campbell Street, BC. No objections, motion's carried. Also, through unanimous consent, if there are no objections, I'll move that the July 22, 2025 regular council agenda adopted. Seeing no objections, that motion's carried. And the consent agenda. A lovely invention. If there are no objections, I'll move that items 4.1 to 4.3 consent agenda. The regular council meeting held July 2022 or 2025 be approved. Received. Objection, that motion is carried. Mayor's report. I have nothing to report for July. There's been meetings going on and certain functions, but we'll have a more fulsome update in August. Public comment on agenda item. Mr. McCall.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll now do an open call for comments. For those in the gallery who wish to speak, please raise your hand. And if there's anyone attending online via Zoom that would like to make a comment, you can do so now using the Q&A function. Before making a comment, we'll need to state your name, your address, and the agenda item you're speaking to. Now do a call. Calling once. Calling twice. Calling three times.
I'll speak to an item.
Yes.
I don't know which number it is, but it's the fire hall item.
So you'll have 2 minutes to speak, and if you would state your name.
10.3. 10.3. Okay, 10.3. My name is Peter DeSwagger, 1011 Campbell Street. So I own a bunch of property south of Industrial Way. I'm happy to talk with staff and the fire chief and everybody about kind of solutions, being part of the solution for land that's needed for a new fire station and or a public sports yard, because you're going to need both of those. So I just want to put it out there that that's what I want to speak to. I look forward to talking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. I'll continue the call. Calling 3 times. No further comments this time, Mayla.
All right, then we'll move on to delegations. Ms. Hurwitz, CBT.
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Hurwitz. I'm the Executive Director of the Tla-o-qui-aht Biosphere Trust, and we're the local community foundation and also the organization that stewards the UNESCO Biosphere designation. Nation and community make appointments to the Tla-o-qui-aht Biosphere Trust Board of Directors. So I want to acknowledge and thank the directors that are appointed by the District of Tofino. So that's Mike Davis and Nora Boileau Morrison. Mike is really active as our treasurer, so really grateful, especially for his participation. I just wanted to speak to two items today. The first is our 2024 annual report, which I've dropped off in hard copies there. A few highlights from last year. We granted a total of $1.2 million last year, which was a new record for the CBT and more than $300,000 more than the previous year. So we're really excited to be supporting projects locally from $50 up to $50,000. And those larger projects are stewardship and restoration projects and research projects. So please check out the listing of all the different grants that we've supported. That's in the middle, I think, page 22, 23 of our report. On the Biosphere Center, we have all of our design work complete, and we're in the final stages of permitting and approvals right now. We've raised over $12.5 million, and we're really eager to get shovels in the ground, but we're still waiting for the province to come to the table in terms of funding. So that's where our core focus is, and our sort of schedule moving forward will be dependent on their contribution. Last year, we hosted 2 regional forums as well as many other community events, and we're really grateful to the district council and staff who participate. So just a big thank you. I hope you'll take some time to browse through the hard copy of the report and then pass it along to a friend or a coworker so that it gets lots of mileage. I'm also here today on behalf of Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation and the CBT to extend an invitation to our 25th anniversary gathering. This year, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the UNESCO Biosphere designation, and we're excited to bring together communities, visitors, residents on September 20th to celebrate that milestone and really look forward and think about how we want to continue to achieve all of the mandate of a biosphere around conservation, sustainable development, and reconciliation. So we'll be hosting a full day event at Wickaninnish Community School on September 20th. And we would love to have your participation. The theme of the event is taking pride in working together. And so we'll be hosting community lunch. There's lots of booths from nonprofits, a main stage where all of the nations and communities will have a chance to share some words on the theme. So if there's someone who is keen to participate on behalf of the district or maybe a group of folks, that would be really wonderful. I'd love to know who could be the point of contact for that, and then we can follow up with scheduling for the day. Exciting to have this 25 years. I know it's not a long time in terms of the history of this amazing place, but it is a milestone that I think we can use as a point of reflection and a point of looking forward. So happy to answer any questions about the CBT and really grateful for your time.
Super, thanks so much, Councillor.
Thank you, Rebecca, once again. One of the things that the CBT, in terms of the scholarships they provide to our, is that, and thank you, by the way, it's an incredible contribution to our students at the high school. Is that part of the granting, or is that a separate?
Yeah, it's encapsulated.
It's encapsulated in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, just wanted to shout out for that scholarship award that comes forward from the CBT.
Yeah, I think scholarships were our first grant.
I know, well, my son's picture's in there. He was picking up one, but
Super, Council. Any other questions for Mr. Hurwitz? Just a note, we'll get you in touch with Keegan or Jamie. There, and when is UPCM? Is it the week after? Okay.
If I could add our thanks for the grant and aid to support the gathering. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Great. Okay, moving on to correspondence. We have Mr. Noel, Chair of the Food Bank on the Edge, regarding a request for financial contribution to support new facility. Just here.
Yeah, thank you, through the mayor. I just wanted to point out to council that Mr. Noel presented to the ACRD West Coast Committee, and we gave a fee waiver for the demolition construction there, and he also asked for a contribution through the ACRD for that. And we had the West Coast Committee recommended go through the grants and aid process through there. So I didn't know if we were to answer the letter, but that might be the mechanism as opposed to a direct check over, I think would be a more appropriate avenue for if the food bank on the edge was looking at a financial contribution to go through our grants and aid process.
Okay, any other comments from council? Comments, Councillor Steele? Okay, grants and aid, suggest to go through grants and aid.
And I don't know, do we need to staff to work?
Councillor Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see Tofino's involvement, and this might be a little bit different from the ACRD just because maybe some of the ACRD members, I guess maybe some would be encapsulated by that as well. I just know that we do have people in Tofino that rely on them as well. And
Yeah. I sat on the board for a long time and yeah, we certainly have some
Okay, I support the food bank on the edge, and however council wants to support that, that's fine. So council,
yeah,
go ahead,
I kind of agreed with councillors.
grants,
Yeah.
grants and aid. Now, is that a council grant you're thinking?
you know, probably the most appropriate one to apply to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree to go through some form of process like grants, just to bring clarity as to where in the budget it would be coming from, given that we've already made a lot of decisions on that, although I also am unsure, can we give grants to organizations not based in Tofino, would be another question.
I believe we're allowed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Sawyer. I do support this to some extent. I don't know if council would support the full 10,000, and it's really hard to sort of say, let's do a grant, not knowing where it would come from in the budget. But maybe we could refer it to staff to identify if there's perhaps any money left in surplus in the council budget or something like that might be a place where it comes from. Yeah, until we sort of get some feedback from how the financing for it might work, it's hard to just say, let's do it. So.
Yeah, I think the idea is to have them apply to the grant process. That would be my, but we could also do, you know, could also suggest that we could ask staff to do it in back with the council generally pointing to the grant process. It is a capital project, is it not, that it's asking for? There might be some restrictions in our grant, if I recall. So you know what, why don't we just refer to staff in the with the general direction that council is generally supportive and would prefer the granting process. See if there's an opportunity to direct them in that. Does that sound good? Councillor Steve?
I think.
One more thing. Now, our granting process does have a cap on and I believe this exceeds the limit of the granting process as well. So
And I could just quickly speak to that. I know, and speaking with ACO, you know, these are requests, and so once again, it is a $10,000 request, but any amount, as we know, would be appreciated. So through that granting process, you're right, we do have a cap, and then I think Mayor Locke pointed out their staff may be able to find some other mechanisms that may be more appropriate for the amount that's been requested.
Mentioned we do have a cap, but we can exceed it, which we have done in the past.
And when for staff, if I may, when is the council granting process up next? It's spring?
I was part of the council standing grant committee this year, and we talked about moving it to align more with the calendar year. So I believe we intend to kind of front load things. Either we were talking about doing it in the winter of 25 or 26. So people could have the funding to rely. I know our spring timeline hasn't been great for some organizations.
Okay. Good information. All right, can we leave with that? Leave it with staff to come back with future committee, of the whole perhaps. Council happy? Staff happy? Okay. Moving on to presentations reports, firearms and fireworks display 10.1. Roger.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a very short presentation for very short. So just a really quick background. We have a fireworks and firearms bylaw. It restricts fireworks most days of the year. With a couple of exceptions or exemptions for specific celebrations. Our current days of exemptions are up on the screen. We would like to add Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation days to those exemptions. It requires 3 readings. We're hoping to get this in place prior to the 2025 Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation days, which are occurring between August 4th and 8th. So that if council is interested in moving forward, would be 3 readings today and then potentially a special meeting on August 29th prior to the council meeting. And that is the report. I probably could just add that we are in a fire ban right now, and so we can make this move, but the fireworks are still banned in the province and in the fire area.
Excellent. So actually, this August, there, even if we get this through, it's still fireworks ban.
Likely it's
So the pressure may be off somewhat. Unless it torrentially downpours everywhere in there. Okay, so we may or may not need a special council meeting. Yeah, maybe. Okay, council.
I just had a question, given those circumstances, but the fact that staff are still asking for the accelerated timeline, is it more to just bring that as a move from the district to have TFN be able to recognize that during their TFN days? So is it still significant, even though it's unlikely to occur this year?
It's a great question. Thank you for that. Through the chair, I think exactly that. It's a little bit of addressing something that was meant to be addressed last year, an act of respect to bring those celebrations into this bylaw. And if it doesn't happen this year, and practically or pragmatically, it doesn't really matter. But I think it's the intent was to get it done prior to those days. Is what I understand the commitment was made. I didn't make that commitment. I wasn't with the part of the time, but that's what I understand the commitment to be.
So it's for symbolic reasons rather than practical application this year.
Sure, those would be your words. I wouldn't say necessarily symbolic, but I think it would be respectful.
Councilor McMaster.
I'm not going to object to TFN being added to the list of exemptions, but I would much prefer that we enter the 21st century and get rid of this bylaw completely and ban fireworks in Tofino. We get so many complaints from pet owners. We have a number of people who have PSTD in this town that get really upset when fireworks go off. There's go on about the wildlife, the danger, and all this. I've talked about it before, and lots of places are moving to drones now, so there's not a need for fireworks. 90% of the fireworks that are in North America come from China. I just think it's time that we look at this bylaw and get rid of it.
Okay.
And I've always argued, why the hell do we have July the 4th on there?
Well, it might be applicable soon. Sorry, that was inappropriate. Thank you, Councilor McMaster. Okay, any other comments? Okay, Councilor Sloan.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at this, and I know that there are a lot of people who are upset by the noise of the fireworks, as Councilor McMaster mentioned, and I was kind of
thinking that maybe if we didn't get rid of it, it might be nice to have, I know that there's some like low noise fireworks that are made in North America that aren't made in our whole facilities. That might be a good addition to that. I thought, but I don't have a problem with the addition of I think it would be good to add the additional date there to the exemptions.
Sure.
I'm just looking for clarity from Councillor McMaster. So the bylaw does currently prohibit fireworks being set off except on the days listed. So by scrapping the bylaw, what would be your goal?
No fireworks at all on any days.
Okay. Can we scrap July 4th? And then as a symbolic gesture.
I'm here at your pleasure.
I'm in favor of adding this. I'm in favor of adding this and discuss fireworks. The general bylaw, whether we want it or not at a different time, but I think we'd be happy to add this on, and if I see no objections generally from council.
We could add it on and replace July 4th with TFN days, just to balance the amount of days that the community members are subjected to fireworks until we find a solution for the noise, etc.
Just a question for staff. Have we noted July 4th as a fireworks day?
Through the chair, I'm not sure. We created this, I think about 10 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't remember why July 4th. I think it was, we have a lot of American visitors and American residents who come here sometimes, probably why it's there. And it's, people tend to, this is one of these exemptions are days that people will probably ignore the bylaw anyways. And I think that's was more of the thinking behind the dates, but I can't say for certain. I'd have to do a bit more research.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead, Councillor Hanson.
Since we're looking to get this first, second, and third reading today, can we save that amendment for another day and maybe refer the bylaw to a future committee of the whole? And we'll look at the whole thing and some of these other questions that came up too. Otherwise, we're going to be amending it, putting in new wording, and
Sure.
Or holding off for second and third reading until it comes back with new wording.
We passed July the 4th for this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's just go ahead. I'm happy with the amendments. I like fireworks, but that's for another discussion. So let's, would somebody like to move the recommendation before us?
I'll move that the District of Tofino Firearms and Fireworks Display Regulation Amendment Bylaw number 121901/2025 introduced and read it. Third time.
Thomas, any further comments from council?
So do we have to refer the staff to bring back the discussion about fireworks at all? Sometime in the
Have a
future?
separate.
Yeah,
We could do it. We could do a separate motion. We could do a separate. You have to refer back to staff for future discussion. We can do that. So let's, any further comments while we're in the motion? All in favor? None opposed, motion's carried. And since we've discussed it, you would like to make a motion to refer it back to staff?
I make a motion that we refer the fireworks and firearms bylaw to staff for possible revision.
Second. Any further comments from council? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in favor of this because through revision, it could not necessarily be, things that like I wouldn't be interested in removing all fireworks from town, but I think we can speak about mitigating the effects on the community maybe through that process.
Sure. Sure. Any other comments from council before we vote on the staff bring it back at a future, no urgency. I don't think there's a sense of urgency.
I think it'd be good to do it in the early part of next year.
Okay. Staff is aware of that. All in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Thank you. 10.2 zoning amendment, bylaw number 1349.
I have a brief presentation this evening. It's going to serve as a bit of a reminder, just given the timeline of the zoning amendment. It had received first, second, and third in February. So due to staff turnover, we're just getting to the adoption now. Second part of this presentation is also to consider the water allocation certificate. So granted, the zoning amendment is triggering the water allocation requirement and requires council approval. I'm just going to go brief overview for you. So just a little bit of background. This is related to the property, the Tofino Housing Corporation property that is subdivided into 5 lots. This particular zoning amendment will affect the entire AR1 zoning, but the typology change in the amendments to the zoning will only affect ultimately lots 3 and 4 in that zone. So this zone amendment did receive permission to proceed in April, first to third reading in February, as I mentioned. And then public hearings for zoning amendments related to housing are no longer required as per the new legislation, Local Government Act. And then there was no changes to the bylaw between third and final reading. So as I discussed, the AR1 zoning in its entirety will be impacted, but specifically the typology changes will be related to the lot 3 and 4. So the original proposal was for a duplex design, and so the changes are now going to allow for a 4-plex. So ultimately, there was no net density increase, just the housing typology is what was amended. So as you see, there's a slight change in the design, but the floor plan or sort of the layout and footprint stayed relatively the same. So talking to the limits to growth policy, or speaking to the limits to growth policy, we have a WAC that is triggered by zoning amendment. So this is an approval stage that is required by council at the time of adoption. So triggered at the time of development approval in the adoption in this case. So council is required for the issuance, and then staff for the secondary phase of this water allocation as they move through the development process will require a WAC at the time of building permit, which would then be issued by staff. So this initial WAC would be issued by council. I also note here that there's 2 years to substantially commence the development for both the zoning amendment and then as well for the building permit. So if a WAC is issued today, if it is approved, the allocation is approved today and staff move forward with issuing the certificate, they have 2 years to apply for building permit. And once they receive their building permit, they have 2 years to commence their development. Leading to the 3 recommendations today, one being that the District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw be adopted, and then the 2 secondary recommendations for the issuance of that water allocation to both lots 346 and 356. And I should note in that 5-lot subdivision, there are 3 lots that were impacted by this typology change, but lot 5 is not seeking a water allocation certificate today because they're already currently under building permit for a duplex development. And
Excellent.
questions?
Questions from council?
Thank you through the chair. I think I remember that this 4-plex design is actually lower in height than the original duplex design. Is that still kind of what the developer is looking at?
That is the plan. We did maintain the height in the zone, so they are permitted, didn't decrease the height allowance, but the design itself is.
Yeah, sorry, this is just a comment. This is the Tofino Housing Corporation. So these designs have changed. Yeah.
So they're different than what we just saw.
Yeah, but they're much nicer.
Are they different in height or footprint?
There are different arrangements. To the chair.
That's much the same.
Would it be, sorry, I guess to the chair, would it be possible for council to see those designs in the future or?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Any further comments, questions? No, okay, then let's would somebody like to volunteer to read the recommendations?
Okay.
Excellent.
I move that District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw number 1349 be adopted.
Councillor Thomas, any further comments? All in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Yep, keep going.
I move that 1.36 cubic meters per day of water be allocated to 346 Peterson Drive for District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw number 1349/2025.
Thomas, any further comments? All in favor? None opposed, motion carried.
I move that 1.36 cubic meters per day of water be allocated to 356 Peterson Drive for District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw number 1349/2025.
Mr. Thomas, any further comments? All in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Excellent. 10.3 training ground and fire hall replacement project. We have Mr. Perkin.
I just wanted to believe, Mr. Andre noted that, did we read both those last two water allocations? There's one for each address. I didn't.
There is, we read them all.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I caught that, 346 and 356. So there was two back to back, each separate.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today I'll be providing an update on the training ground and fire hall replacement project. I have Chief McKeough and Deputy Chief Johnson in attendance for support during the question and comment period. This presentation will touch on the following. We'll go over a background of the report, go over the existing fire hall condition, the location of the new proposed fire hall, touch on completed preliminary design work, outline the intended procurement strategy, provide an update on funding opportunities, and inform a magnitude of known financial impacts at this stage. So the George Hubert Memorial Fire Hall was built in the 1950s. Since that time, a second floor was added, placing a relocated structure on top of the existing fire hall roof. Alongside this, an additional truck bay was added to house the district's ladder truck in the early 2000s. The building is the only turnout and response location for the District of Tofino's volunteer fire department, which currently has 30 members, including a paid fire chief and deputy fire chief training officer. In addition to this, the top floor of the building also hosts offices for district planning, recreation, emergency program, and bylaw staff, totaling 8 personnel. This also includes the district's tsunami warning notification equipment. Around the time of adding an additional truck bay to the facility, staff engaged with a consultant to conduct a fire hall location study, highlighting the need to geographically centralize fire department services in the district nearly 20 years ago. Since this time, multiple third-party condition assessments and studies of the fire hall have taken place, most recently in 2024 with a comprehensive structural review of the building. Resulting from the 2024 structural assessment, staff included a fire hall replacement project sheet for council's consideration during the 2025 to 2029 financial planning process. Subsequently, due to the preliminary state of the project planning, it was not formally adopted into the financial planning bylaw. The 2024 structural assessment found that the fire hall building is not compliant with current residential building code, and of that, not compliant with current post-disaster building code requirements. In 2006, the BC Building Code was amended, mandating that fire halls must be designed to post-disaster design criteria if newly built or undergoing major repairs. This means that after a seismic event, the facility will continue to be serviceable and able to initiate post-disaster or post-seismic event response with minimal damage to the facility.
While a seismic event means that roads may not be available for use, it's very important to protect firefighting and first responder infrastructure to support emergency response to such an event. The 2024 structural assessment concluded with 3 options for the district to consider moving forward. These options included doing nothing, undertaking structural improvements to the existing facility, or constructing a new building. Staff have assessed the possibility of undertaking such improvements to the existing facility. However, due to unquantifiable budget risks of undertaking improvements without detailed record drawings or information of the existing building, and complex logistics in relocating fire emergency services during construction, staff are recommending the option to construct a new fire hall. Excuse me. The 2006 location study reviewed 4 different options for the future of the fire hall, including retaining the existing fire hall, relocating the station adjacent to the present day BC ambulance station, and 2 other options that include retaining the existing hall with satellite locations. Of those 2 latter options, the satellite locations explore one adjacent to the BC ambulance site and another option of a satellite location near South Chesterman. The report ultimately recommended the option of retaining the existing hall and adding a satellite hall near South Chesterman. It's important to note that both satellite hall options would require extensive repairs and seismic retrofit to the existing fire hall to ensure proper post-disaster design criteria is achieved, as well as adding additional capital and operational expenses of building and maintaining a new satellite fire hall asset. Using the location study as a guide, staff are proposing to locate a new fire hall within the site of the current public works yard at 610 Industrial Way, which is adjacent to the existing training ground location, which Mr. Rogers provided an update to council at the June 24th council meeting. Rationale supporting locating a new fire hall at the Industrial Way location is that the existing fire hall is beyond its serviceable life and, as noted previously, not constructed to current post-disaster design criteria. The proposed site on Industrial Way is a central location in the district, which will improve and balance firefighter turnout and response times both into the downtown core and to the southern portions of the district and beyond. An important note is that the district does have obligations through mutual aid agreements with both the Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation communities of Tyastanis and Essaouista, as well as the District of Tofino. The department's coverage also includes supporting emergency events on the Pacific Rim Highway up to Long Beach and to the airport. As noted previously, a new fire hall can be constructed without impacting current fire service levels. The proposed new location has been discussed over the years in collaboration with the fire chief, deputy chief, and with senior members of the department. In late 2024, staff worked with an architect to develop preliminary and indicative design drawings for a new fire hall, keeping aspects in mind such as a fit-for-purpose facility that is cost-effective, sized for future department growth, and integrates asset management principles in its operations and renewal costs. With the above in mind, and in research of what other similar communities are doing delivering new fire hall projects, staff plan to utilize pre-engineered building structure. This style of building is reflective in the building components in both the wastewater treatment plant and the existing public works building, and of other similar fire halls on both Vancouver Island and in mainland British Columbia. Utilizing this style of building is a cost-effective way to achieve post-disaster design criteria. And I'll pop the indicative design rendering here. The design will include ample interior features such as windows to allow the department members to enjoy enhanced amenities, such as a larger training area near the existing training ground location, a larger and more formal fitness area, and larger truck bays, which will be a lot more practical, backing trucks and more apparatus. The design also incorporates superior operational flow, separating areas where members' turnout gear is stored, where the truck bays are, and administrative areas to ensure safe decontamination separation is in place. The intent is to carry forward the new fire hall carry the existing name as the George Hubert Memorial Fire Hall to its new location. To incorporate these operational needs in a cost-effective manner, staff are proposing a progressive design-build style of procurement, similar to the collaborative methods utilized to successfully deliver the wastewater treatment plant project last year. Currently, staff have issued a public expression of interest, which is a means of identifying without any commitment or obligations to the district, to the building industry, that the district is interested in building a new fire hall. From that point, should the project move forward past council approval and receive the required funding approvals, staff would issue a request for proposal and competitively select a design builder to work collaboratively with to achieve the budgeted target in building the new proposed fire hall. The progressive nature of this style of design build allows the district and the design builder the option of walking away from the project should both parties not be able to achieve the mutually targeted budget. Terms of this process would be outlined in the request for proposal issued by the district. This process is very similar to the memorandum of understanding or MOU process that the district undertook with the contractor that built the wastewater treatment plant. And that the district had the option to not proceed with a fixed fee building contract should the MOU process not being successful, specifically agreeing on a reasonable fee as mutually agreed upon for construction. Once the district and design builder agree on a fixed fee for the construction phase, a fixed fee contract would be executed by all parties to build the proposed fire hall. In late May 2025, district staff, myself and Chief McKeough, attended a UBCM seminar presenting the 2025 intake to the Strategic Priorities Fund. The presentation by UBCM staff emphasized the identification of fire halls being included in this year's intake. The grant is 100% funded, up to $7 million for eligible projects, with this year's application intake deadline being September 12th, 2025. To be eligible, staff are required to obtain a council resolution supporting the grant application. The overall training ground and fire hall replacement project is budgeted at $7.25 million. Of this budget, $250,000 includes the modular components of the training ground, which will be funded by the Tofino Fire Society. The remaining budget of up to $7 million would be allocated for funding from the Strategic Priorities Fund, the CNI Levy Buildings Reserve, and the Community Works Fund Reserve, formerly known as the gas tax. The latter two sources are anticipated to cover about 10% of the project costs as identified in the updated project sheet in Appendix 4 of Council's package. Staff are confident that by utilizing this unique procurement model and having a budget developed by reviewing similar fire hall projects recently constructed, that risk can be effectively managed throughout the design and construction of the fire hall should the grant application be accepted by UBCM. Staff plan to meet further with UBCM staff to discuss the proposed procurement process during the grant application development and answer any questions or concerns UBCM staff may have regarding the unique procurement method being proposed and the level of preliminary design work being provided during the application phase of the project. With that, I'll leave the recommendations up on the screen and be available to answer any questions that Mayor and Council may have. And I've got some assistance from Chief McKeough here as well.
Excellent.
Thank you
for that presentation. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Great project. Much needed. Council questions.
Thank you through the mayor. Just a question for clarity in the recommendation where it speaks to, and I just need clarification, support any cost overruns from budgeted project contingencies. I'm just curious of maybe an explanation of what we mean by the project contingencies and those cost overruns. You did explain a little bit about potentially the CNI levy and the gas tax being utilized, but I wasn't sure what that meant by those cost overruns for the contingency.
That's a great question. And through the chair, when staff apply for this grant, the funders are looking to see that whatever, if the application is successful, that whatever money that is grant funded, that the proponent would not be going back to ask for more. So whatever we get would include any contingencies that are developed during the collaborative design phase, prior to a fixed fee contract being developed. But yeah, helps to answer the
It
question.
does, yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Super. Any other questions for clarity from Mr. Kirkland? Comments? Seeing none? Okay, I go straight to the recommendations. It's council would like to read two recommendations.
I'd like to move that staff be authorized to amend the 2025 through 2029 financial planning bylaw to include the revenues and expenditures in the training ground and fire hall replacement project as shown in Appendix 4 to the staff report titled Training Ground and Fire Hall Replacement Project Update, dated July 22nd, 2025.
Councilor Thomas. Looking the other way, you get the next one. Okay, any other comments? All in favor? Unopposed, motion carried.
And that council supports an application of the 2025 Strategic Priorities Fund programs for the District of Tofino's Fire Hall Replacement Project and agrees to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns from budgeted project contingencies.
Seconded by Councilor Anderson. And further comments? All in favor? Unopposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Tyler.
No bylaws, no unfinished business. Do we have any business initiated by council members? Seeing none, we're gonna go to you, Councilor Stevens.
Well, no, I know, I do, the West Coast Committee, meeting update of the ACRD, there was a couple of relevant,
I gotta call a question of privilege.
yes,
That's all right. And it stopped for 3 minutes. Stronger than usual coffee.
well, I might as well take advantage of it.
Mute the mics. Mics are unmuted.
Okay. We're back, I think. Oh, back. Okay, Councilor Steer, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
West Coast Committee.
Right, thank you. That's what we were. Yeah, there was a couple of projects that were, there were some funding issues around the extension of the multiple use path that is within the ACRD, and Ucluelet is now looking at those assets that are not within their jurisdiction, but they've also been providing some forms of maintenance. So there was a long conversation, and we're still looking at how that's going to play out in the future. But either that the ACRD will take possession of that, and then the maintenance and costs that are associated with that. Once again, the questions always come up around our commitments as the District of Tofino's proportionate payments into the regional parks. We do pay considerably more just based on our assessment. So it's a conversation that I'll continue to have to make sure that our interests are taken care of, and that the path is, which is an important contribution from one end to the other, that it is well maintained there. That was the main one. There was a couple of other small things in there, but I think that was by far the most significant one that came up. There has been some major concerns with, and there will be at tomorrow's ACRD meeting with BC Transit's. Part of the routing goes through Millstream, and the neighborhood of Millstream. It's been very disruptive within there. It's a very closed neighborhood. There's lots of kids in there. There's some challenges around that. So we'll be trying to address that. There's been almost the whole neighborhood of Millstream is not in support of having the bus routed through Millstream, but the options on the highway are limited, very limited for safety reasons. So anyways, that has been a major concern with the bus routing for BC Transit on there. I will have an update on next council meeting in terms of ridership on the BC Transit, and as we all know, that BC Transit taking over that service. So I will have an update on how well that's going.
Super. Excellent. Any other business initiated by council members? All right, seeing none, then. Recall closed, question period.
Thank you, Mayor Law. I'll now do an open call for questions for both members of the public present in the gallery and those participating online. For those in the gallery who wish to speak, please raise your hand. If there is anyone attending online via Zoom that would like to ask a question, you can do so now using the Q&A function. For asking a question, you'll need to state your name, your address, and the agenda item you're speaking to. I will now do a call. Calling once, calling twice. Calling 3 times. No current questions at this time, Mayor Law.
Okay, super. Then I'll move from the chair into closed. I recommend that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to sections 91 ACGI and 92E of the community charter to discuss matters related to personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. Labor relations, other employee relations, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government, the federal government, or both, or between a provincial government and federal government, or both, third party. Seconded by Councilor Steer. In favor? Not opposed. Motion's carried. Okay, we'll take some time to move into close.